This meeting is being conducted in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of this meeting has been provided by advertisement, the Cape May Star and Wave, the Herald, on the Township website, and has been posted on the Bulletin Board of Township Hall.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Conrad.
Here.
Councilmember Neville.
Here.
Councilmember Simonson.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Clark.
Here.
Mayor Beck.
Here. Before we begin tonight's work session, we have Billy Howard from the VFW Post 5343 and wishes to make a presentation. Would you step forward, please, Bill?
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Oh, you got to turn that on.
I'm sorry.
That red button. Hold it up.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
And all citizens of Lower Township that's here. I have a presentation to give to the Lower Township Bureau of Fire Safety, Dave Perry. I'm presenting a check to the Lower Township Bureau of Fire Safety for their Fire Prevention Week. We've been doing this for several years with Dave and also Don and the rest of his crew that he's had helping him through the years. It's one way we can get back to the community and help develop our future leaders of this township. Dave, here's a $600 check. Okay, keep it short enough? Thank you, that was perfect.
Mayor, I need to read this letter into the...
We have a letter that needs to be read.
We received a letter from the Lower Cape May Regional School District Superintendent Christopher Kobeck to Deputy Mayor Norris. A few things have come up this week here at school that reminded me of how one person can make a positive difference. The Cape May County Chamber recognized Curtis Bashall of Cape Resorts Group and Lower Cape May Regional Marketing teacher, Mrs. Kathy Parker, for their innovative partnership in education. A second event happened innocently in our hallways when I heard a group of students reveling in how one of their peers was speaking at the TEDx event this weekend. Both of these events reflect just two of the positive impacts you have had on the Lower Cape May Regional School District. As a superintendent, I recognize all the potential our community has to make education real and meaningful for our students. As a community leader, you have gone out of your way to help tap that potential for the good of our students. Your deeds speak volumes and carry their influence far into the future. Thank you for your sincere dedication to our students and community. Sincerely, Christopher Kobeck. Mr. Kobeck was unable to make it this evening, and he requested that we read it into the record.
Thank you. Okay, we have a presentation. Dave Pasovich on Playful Cities designation. If you would come up and explain that, please. He's a friend of ours from the school.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here on part of the as part of the Recreation Advisory Board. And should I face this way?
Whichever way you want to face is fine.
And basically, there is some grant opportunities out there, but I need permission first from the council to pursue it. And the idea is that we can build more playgrounds in our community if we provide them with an application by March. And what Playful City does is provides you with a website, which we introduced Peter Ford. He's one of our student interns. That's going to be our data entry people for this. And he's actually working all year with Mary Rose Bispels as an intern. And I've kind of commissioned him to be part of this project. I'll have him talk about what he's doing in a second. What I need is basically a written letter from the council saying that we can pursue it, and that goes in as part of the application. The grants are anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 to build new playgrounds. And Peter's job is to provide enough locations around our township to prove that we are worthy of being designated a playful city. We'll be we'll be the second city in New Jersey to be recognized. The only other city that's been recognized to date is Hamilton Township in Mercer County. So it'd be a great opportunity, and lots of other opportunities come from that as far as grants and providing playful spaces and recreation areas for our township. So if you wouldn't mind, Peter's going to just tell you exactly what he's doing for this part of the project.
Yeah, I just go around the parks around the neighborhood, like the rec. Even there's a park on Mindy Ave in North Cape May, small parks like that. I go take pictures, write descriptions, tell everybody how fun they can have there, and make it look good, and hopefully bring people to come play in those areas and enjoy them as much as we do.
What grade are you in, Pete?
I'm a senior.
You're a senior? All right, and you're working over at the school with Mary, is it?
Rose Bisbal.
Yes.
Mary Rose, okay. So you get the chance to do, this is like kind of neat. You do it during school, you're able to do a lot of this, and I guess you've got to go around to the playgrounds afterwards, right?
Yeah, I actually do it after school.
You got to do a lot of that afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Well, where did you find out about this? I'm just curious.
Actually, through Mrs. Bisbals, she was looking for
Okay.
somebody to
It's all-
help Mr. Pasovich.
I mean, this is, citizens in action. I think council's all in support of this.
absolutely.
Whatever letter we can get for you, we're full support of this, but glad to hear it, and I'm sure our grants coordinator who's sitting there would be glad to help you in any way, shape, or form that she can too. Okay? Go ahead.
This weekend, for instance, there was the Pumpkin Festival. If you guys were there, it was amazing. You guys, as part of the community, can actually log on to this. It's called mapofplay.com. If you've been to these different recreation sites recently, all you do is upload a shot of what's going on there. People playing, your family's playing, and it's kind of a growing, living database of what our township offers. For right now, Peter has a picture of our township pool, but it's closed because he just started this project in the fall. So anything we have that you might have a record of different things that we've done in the past, just upload these, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And it's a pretty cool township project, I think, for all of us, and for Peter to be doing it as a high school student. It'll be a major accomplishment for the Recreation Advisory Board and for Peter.
Thank you for the good citizenship. We appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
To repeat the website, mapofplay.com.
When do you need your letter by?
Before December. Is that possible?
You will, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And the Halloween Haunted Trail, you get a lot of picture of the young people and families out this weekend. That's going to be over at the airport property.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Move down to the consent agenda. Council comments, questions on the consent agenda.
I just have one question. On 7119, those, what are those payments for?
I'm lost. What number was that?
7119 for,
7.
On the voucher. He's talking about the voucher.
under vouchers.
Vouchers.
How are the vouchers?
EDA.
Is that page 7, Eric?
Oh, the engineering
EDA
design.
is probably for the plan board.
Page
That's-
5.
Yeah, that's the one I asked this morning, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that was some odds and ends that the EDA Engineering Design, the interim engineer, did for the township. Some odds and ends with Gary Douglas.
Do we have a description of what the, I mean, I'm okay with it. I just want to know if it's, what it is.
Is Gary here? Nope.
No, but I can supply the councilman tomorrow with a printout on
Yeah,
each one of those
we-
things. All right, Eric?
Sure.
Okay.
I have a council comment on the resiliency grant that's here. Where Billy Galstock's been working on that with Colleen, and we're close to getting the
coastal resiliency grant of $250,000 for beach engineering and stormwater water prevention from coming over the dunes at the Coxall Creek and Fishing Creek area. And 283 is also, we're asking for a grant to, the last piece of the Town Bank water main project that didn't get repaved properly is from Emerson to Town Bank, because Clubhouse Road will be done the week of October 27th. And the last comment I want to make is on this adoption of a portion of the Beach Drive. I talked to Dave Burke, and the Burke Motor Group's taking it over to do the adoption of the Clean Beach, Clean Road program. And A.J. Stelatio, who's actually the son of somebody I went to grade school with, he, after riding down there with his 2.5-year-old daughter, was like so taken by the pristine nature of it that he wanted to pledge to be one of the ones involved in keeping it clean. So I thought it was very nice.
Okay, open it up to public comments on the consent agenda. Close the public portion. Do I have a motion to approve?
Approval of the minutes from October 6, 2014, resolution number 2014-277 through 2014-283.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
To the regular agenda, resolution number 2014-284, certification of the best practice inventory. This is a required certification. It's required yearly.
Right. This is something, how many years we've been doing this now? About 5 years, is it, or something like that? And what happens is the state gives you a list of different criteria, which you have to answer yes, no, or perspective. And I know our esteemed reporters have done numerous articles on this. And your grant money, anybody who looks at it, it has an impact. If you don't comply with all the criteria that the state wants you to, for instance, on shared service, traffic safety policies, it goes through all sorts of different things. It's pages and pages. And it has, for instance, one that we did pretty well. What was our final score there, Ms. Lauren? 88%. We had 44 out of 50. And the criteria is that if you get under 41, you lose like some state aid. It has the potential. There's a whole scale. Like, for instance, when we rate ourselves pretty hard, one question had to do with municipalities' participation in the National Flood Insurance Program, Community Rating System, CRS, which council has preliminarily supported taking a look at. We haven't made a final decision. And we could have probably put perspective down, but we put no, simply because of the fact that it was, we really didn't need it to get to where we were, and we're kind of like hard on ourselves with this. It's a pretty good set of criteria. Now, they have one this year, and I'm looking for it, about authorities, and it's very interesting. And it has to do with looking at your municipal authorities, and we did with the MUA. And it says, does the governing body meet at least once annually to discuss an assessment of the authority or authorities they have created? And it talks about some authorities run well and some do not. But one of the questions, this question in itself, and I want to bring up something that I think is important for our people to understand. The authority has $17.9 million in debt service. If we were to take over that authority, it would not be charged to the township. And I'm going to read the resolution that all of us on council got. And am I correct so far? Okay, Lauren. Be it further resolved, and this came from the local finance board.
I thought we were talking about the best practices.
We are, we're talking about the MUA. and I'm just asking if this is correct, since we went through this examination, and my eyes must be failing me because I thought this, but I'm reading differently. It says that the local finance board does further hereby give consent to and approve the request of the township that the amount of debt to be issued by the township pursuant to said bond ordinance, where we take it over, may be deducted from the township's gross debt in accordance with certain statutes. And I'm going to explain it for the umpteenth time. And I'm going to use an analogy. And you have a household, and you have mom and dad and some kids, and your uncle gets sick. And now mom and dad own the house, and they might have a small equity loan, they have car payments, et cetera, et cetera. But they take the uncle into the household. Now, the uncle has his own debts, but he has his own pension, he has his own disability, and he lives in the house. His debt does not get charged to the house debt. His debt is his debt. Your mom helps him with it because he's sick. He does they have separate accounts and they're kept separately. But if the parents go to get another loan, they do not put down his debt because that's his. Am I correct on this so far, Lauren? Okay. And what I'm trying to say is the correct interpretation of it is not that we're going to put $17.9 million debt on the backs of the taxpayers. That is not true. The truth of the matter is that it will have no impact whatsoever on the residents of Lower Township. And I am clarifying that for the umpteenth time right here, right now. Okay? Is there any other questions or comments on the, we'll get to that in a few minutes when we do public call on that. You may come up, ma'am. I said public, or questions from the council in reference to this. Okay, my mistake. Okay, so
who do we plan on paying that off? 17.9 million?
well, that would be the up to the ratepayers from the MUA to pay that debt
Oh,
off.
okay. Well, aren't those ratepayers, don't they live in this township?
They do, and they belong to the MUA. They're the ratepayers. Just like the people that the uncle that moves in, that he owes money to. That's his obligation, and it's up for him to pay it back with his pension and his disability. But it's not up to the family to pay his debt. That's his debt. That's the MUA's debt, and it's paid by the ratepayers and not a penny of taxpayer money. In fact, the opposite's true. The truth is, we would save $1 million, as it says in the checklist. Okay, $1 million. Okay.
A month ago, you were saying the taxpayers, or no matter what, were liable for it. Now you're saying, oh, no, now.
I said the taxpayers are liable for it?
They are the ones backing all the bonds of the MUA.
Let me
Yes or
say
no?
this, okay, time out on the field of
Oh,
play.
yes,
Since
that's right.
day one, since the creation of the MUA, the township has always backed the debt of the MUA. It would be no different with that than it is now.
Okay.
If the MUA completely went belly up tomorrow, the township has an obligation to it. But this is completely different. This has to do with taking that $17.9 million and in a smokescreen making it look like that we're going to add $18 million of debt to the average taxpayer. That's not only untrue, it's a lie.
Well, you just
Okay?
said-
It's absolutely a
Okay.
lie. All right? And I'm calling it for what it is.
Won't it add to the township's debt?
It's not going
There
to,
won't be an MUA anymore.
okay? The fact of the matter is, the MUA, the ratepayers, the same account that takes in the money will pay that debt off, but it will not go to the taxpayers whatsoever. It will go to the ratepayers. And that's what this resolution, which was passed by the state, is saying to us. There were two resolutions. One of them said, do not touch the surplus, which we said, absolutely, we agree with. The second resolution from the state says that your town may deduct that from your overall debt because it's not your debt. And that's what that resolution
And the
states.
second resolution was a normal one for the don't touch the surplus, because usually they don't add that, they stated.
We wrote that into our ordinance to
know.
begin with.
Yeah,
And
I
remember,
know, like,
you're
I'm the one that-
talking to the guy
I'm
that
the-
was the only person up here that voted against
And I'm the
touching
one
it.
that got it, put it into the resolution.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're also one of the guys that voted to take it
That's
last time
correct.
it
And so
came
the
up.
comments.
Can we get to this best practices
Well, I didn't bring it
sometime
up.
today?
I
You brought up the whole.
Please.
you went
No,
up
I
in.
brought that part, but you went to the
Okay.
surplus, and I matched you on that. So we're back to the best practices. But, you know, I have to make the point because I want the people out there to understand what the truth is. It's as simple as that. Is there any other questions on the best practices?
Yeah, the comment there, that's, I don't know why that's pertinent for that, because it says, did we look into it? It's a simple yes, no, we looked into it. Adding how the voting went on this date, that's, to me, wasn't pertinent for the best practices worksheet.
Well,
It's question
I
11.
think for posterity to see that there's $1 million, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah,
Okay? I don't have a
wouldn't.
problem with the fact that it's truth.
How about we vote on it?
It's what we did, and it has the vote on it. Does anybody else have any comments on the best practices? Open it up for public comment. Go ahead. Come on, Mrs. Zine. No, you have to come up front and and introduce yourself. You have to state your name and ask. That's all right.
Pardon me?
Excuse me. Please go.
I heard somebody talking.
No, I don't, I'm just focus on us and please.
Yes, sir. If the federal government can't repay our debt, it does impact the taxpayers because there is no more federal money. So if the MUA, for some reason, the ratepayers can't pay their debt, it's going to impact the taxpayers. There'll be no more sewer.
It's been that way since it was founded.
That's the way it is.
That is the way,
the
the
way
day
it is
that it
right
was
now.
founded,
But I'm-
we were responsible for it.
Okay, so then in essence, you're saying it's no new tax dollars.
There's no new tax, there's no cost to the taxpayer whatsoever
Okay.
for the dissolution of the MUA. There's only gain.
Okay, well, I know Art Hall and I have been fighting about this for months, and he agrees that my points are valid, so, okay.
Okay, please, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just trying to get them to let you finish.
Oh, okay. So you're confident that we won't incur any new expenses at the MUA by taking it over,
As far as us, the taxpayers?
as far as the town of Lower Township?
Well, the MUA, but not the town itself.
I guess I think that's a play on words. I mean, I think.
No, it's not a play on words.
It's-
There's two separate
MUA
accounts, ma'am, the utility account and the general fund.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
There's two accounts. The utility account, if the town ever took it over, which was explained in the past, as the mayor said, the ratepayers are responsible to pay that, and that's their debt service. The ratepayers, the people that pay the sewer and
People
water
belong
bill.
to the
So
MUA.
there's two
Those that use the
buckets,
sewer and water.
People who
there's two
use the
accounts.
sewers? or is
And
that-
water.
People who use the sewer, is that what you're saying? That's
And
the
water.
ratepayers?
And water. They're
And
ratepayers.
water.
They're members of the
So
MUA.
the well, people who use the well and don't use the
Will have no
MUA,
responsibility
they don't have
except
any
for what they
responsibility.
already have now.
Okay. Didn't you vote on this and it was not bonded?
Well, you're correct.
I wasn't sure. I just want to make sure I was sure. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments? Close the public portion. Do I have a motion to approve? We already read it, right?
Yeah, I already read it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Resolution number 2014-285. This is amending Resolution number 2014-62. It's an award of a contract to Wines Contracting LLC. This is an additional $600 to work on the school issue.
Yeah, the second vote.
Yes.
This, one thing we all agree on up here is just vote no. I mean, we can't say this often enough, and in so many different ways, that the upcoming vote here at the general election, we're strongly encouraging all our residents to vote no. This resolution here, he's a statistician, and he is got to crunch some numbers to be put on the resolution for the December referendum, which will also be a just vote no referendum. But every chance we get, every opportunity we can as a body here on council to speak out on this issue and make sure our people understand how important this is, not only for their personal pocketbooks, but the reality is for the future of education in Cape May County, the Lower Cape, our town, and even the people that are pushing this. And our beef is not with the residents of Cape May, it's with the officials who have pushed this thing, Cape May City Council. That's the problem that we have. But at the end of the road, we all agree that this issue was so huge that everybody in this town must come out to vote, and they must come out to vote no on this issue. And the reason we're getting this guy and giving him an extra couple $100 is they need to crunch numbers as to what the impact it would be for the December referendum if Cape May City was to withdraw and not send their children to our school, or withdraw and send their kids. So that information has to be part of the referendum, which is necessary for us to crunch numbers. Okay, that's the long and short. Go ahead,
And
Tom.
we really have to push that December vote. It's going to be tough. People
will.
are not used to voting in December.
Yeah.
We have to get as many people out as possible to vote no for that.
Okay, so is there any comments from the public in relationship to this? Yes, ma'am.
Patty Sparks, I live in North Cape May, New Jersey. Councilman, thank you. Just a few days ago, I was informed, and I hope that you can clarify, that actually the city of Cape May does not expect to win this vote. And once it is defeated, they then have decided that they're going to take it to court, and they have now had a judge that has agreed that Lower Township residents will have to pay $40,000 for it to go to court. I'd like to know how much truth there is to that rumor.
Ron, I don't think it has to, the $40,000 has to do with the
For the election
referendum.
itself.
For the election itself.
With the election.
Cost of the election.
The cost of the
That's
election.
being
Okay,
appealed,
okay.
correct?
But we have to pay,
I didn't see an appeal.
All right, last I heard. No, we're not paying. It would be, the school district has to pay.
I see,
So you'll be paying in your school taxes, but it won't be coming through the municipality.
for something that Cape May is pushing.
It's been that way since day one.
Okay,
That
thank
pu-
you.
That pump just keeps, we keep pushing the arm and keep paying people.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
And Cape May has an election, so things may change over there also, hopefully.
Yep, that would be sweet.
Yes.
So where do we leave off on
You have
this?
one, Mike, you do have somebody else.
Somebody else wish to speak on this? Yes, ma'am. Well, we got a couple. I didn't see. Okay, go, Janet. You wish to address council?
Janet Pittsvilles. Regarding this school funding issue, oh gosh, now I got to collect my thoughts. And what Mrs. Sparks said, it is for the school election ballot, the 40,000. As far as Cape May going, ultimately, if they should win either one of these questions, that is their ultimate goal and always has been, to go to the appellate court. I think Councilman Wichterman has said that himself many times. They're not real optimistic on winning these two elections, but their goal is to go to the appellate court. And if I can add one thing to that, I've frequently asked Councilman Wichterman to give me one example of where they've ever won, other than the Manchester Regional High School District, which is a segregation issue, which we do not have here. And there is no example of any change in the school funding through the appellate division. In fact, it is a legislative issue and not to be dealt with through the courts. Okay?
I think we would be remiss if we didn't recognize the fact that the Lower Township's Taxpayers Association, which you're a member, and Ed Butler, have graciously consented to take lead in respect to the collecting some funds in order to get signs, to get handouts, to do calls, things like that. We went through this month or two ago, and it was specifically said that we were not allowed to do that, but that, it belongs in, a PTA, a taxpayer association, what have you. And I just, on behalf of all of us, I want to thank your organization and you and Ed, especially. You guys have been meeting occasionally on a Monday morning at like 8 o'clock in the morning with a variety of people, some from the schools that are interested citizens. Everybody is a kind of a volunteer. and you've taken lead on this, and we thank you and all the members of the group on behalf of the township.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Ms. Pitts, I know you've kept up on this issue. Could you explain to the people what the impact would be on the Lower Township taxpayers? Because I know that you're up to date on that.
On the first question.
If we were to, yeah, please, with the
Okay.
question.
And the first question, the November 4th question, which is to change the school funding formula from property values, which is consistent with every funding of any school district, including Cape May's elementary school district, and ours is funded through property values. Cape May desires that it goes to a cost per pupil. That would be an increase for the median house in Lower Township, about $427 a year, and Cape May would make or say have their taxes reduced $1,200. I will tell you there is different percentages that Lower Township is charged versus Cape May versus West Cape May, and the formula is very, very confusing. However, it does have built into it students coming in to the high school through the elementary schools, which is why our rate tends to be higher per se. If you take a $500,000 house in Cape May versus one in Lower Township, given our rate for the regional school funding, we would pay much more than the same house, $500,000 in Cape May. The second question, withdrawal, is would be a lot more interesting in that they would ultimately end up with us becoming them becoming a sending receiving relationship, still cost per pupil. I'm not quite sure, how that would impact anything, as far as state aid, because it would be, reduction per se in the pupils, because then we become a sending receiving, or they become a sending receiving relationship. Either way you look at it, it's millions of dollars and a significant economic impact to all the taxpayers in Lower Township. And of course, I'm not for it. I don't think a lot of people in Cape May are for it. As I've stated in the paper before, this is turning us into the Hatfields and the McCoys, and they're our neighbors. And I don't think generally the main populace in Cape May is for this. I think they want to be good neighbors, and in my heart, I think it's just a vocal few. But nonetheless, everybody has to get out November 4th, and do not forget December 9th to vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You wish to speak? Yes, ma'am.
I think that lady might be the better person to answer the question. I lived in Cape May for the first 10 years I was here. And yeah, they always told me that we didn't have kids, but they said you could send your kid to Yale for a year for what they pay for a year in high school here. I have no idea if that's valid. But they, I thought, dropped it because they said it was a state setup of how funding is done. So how can they be doing anything in the courts?
Pursuing that it is a gracious statement to say that they have a constitutional right to have an election and win when they don't have the numbers that we do. It's a fallacy.
Okay.
They could never win. So by sheer numbers, so then they'll go to the appellate court
I
and
see.
say it's not fair. Now you fix it, which the appellate court will throw back to them and say it's a legislative fix. Go find yourself
Right.
a senator.
Thanks, because two councils again, when I was still in Cape May, they said they were giving up, that they were no longer
This
going
is
to
their
fight
second
it.
shot.
No, that was a while ago. Sorry about that.
Thank you. We have to, all right. Any other comments? Close the public portion. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
Abstain.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Excuse me. Resolution number 2014-286. Payment of vouchers in the amount of $35,000 for the Rescue Squad contribution.
Council comments? Call to the public on this resolution? Yes, sir. Come on up.
I'm
going to be stepping down if someone's going to comment. Just to recuse myself.
All right.
I just have one question on this, and probably Lauren would probably know about it. Lauren, did the rescue squad meet the requirements as far as paperwork to you? I'm sorry, I can't hear. It did?
Their audit.
All right, that's my question with that. I know that there has to be certain things documented before anything is given out, you know, as far as on this situation. So-
We receive an annual audit, Ed. We receive an annual audit.
I know.
And if
Okay.
it's in order, then the council releases the funds.
All right, so this is just part of the 105,000, it's not the emergency part. You're paying it off and, well, you're contributing, not paying it off, because it's voluntarily from the township.
Yes.
Correct.
This is the final payment for the year.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
I know that Councilman Conrad abstained. Councilmember Neville,
Yes.
Councilman Simonson.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark.
Yes.
Mayor Beck.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2014-11.
Come back, Tom.
Oh, where's he at?
He's in there some. Hey, Tom.
He's coming back.
All right.
I think that was his way of getting a bathroom break.
Yeah, that's a violation. I want a break.
Ordinance number 2014-11. This is the salary and benefit ordinance for the Township of Lower. This is a required ordinance. This is the second reading and the public hearing of this ordinance. This ordinance has been published, posted on the bulletin boards, and made available to the public.
Okay, council comments? Open up to public comments. Yes, sir.
John Skronsky, 607 Arctic Avenue. These are salary increases for everyone who works in the township. When was the last time salaries were increased? Does anybody know?
These aren't increases, it's just the spread of salaries. There's nobody getting any pay raises. We're required to do a salary ordinance once a year. We probably should have done it earlier in the year, but all the salaries are set, the contracts are set. There's no increases in this. This is just the spread from a basic entry level to what the top could be.
This is what we do.
thanks.
We do it every year.
Sets parameters for.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions? All right, close public portion. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second. Jim?
Second.
Councilmember Conrad.
Yes.
Councilmember Neville.
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark.
Yes.
Mayor Beck.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2014, excuse me, that's a typo. Ordinance number 2014-21. Amending ordinance 2013-21, and ordinance amending chapter 475 of the Parks and Recreation Areas, ordinance of the Township of Lower. This is amending the Millman rental fees. This is also the second reading and public hearing for this ordinance. This ordinance has been published, posted on the bulletin boards, and made available to the public.
Council comments? Public comments? Mr. Ed?
I forgot to give them the ordinance to sign.
Hey, Butler from the Villas. After reading the ordinance over, I've seen everything's been changed here as far as cost and all. There's nothing in here stating like the civic associations that's been using Millman Center during the week, mentioning that they still be able to use it and for no charge.
Yes, sir.
Am I correct?
The Millman Center is a community center. It's open to all our civic groups and all our local residents and local organizations, Monday through Friday, Thursday evening, and then on the weekends, we rent it out for weddings and what have you
Right.
to offset the cost to the taxpayer.
Right.
Mr.
Well,
Butler,
this is
this
what-
ordinance only addresses the changes.
Right.
Everything else stays the same.
Right. Everything else stays the same. This just sets the fee structure for renting it on the weekend.
Okay, so the structure for civic associations will be the same. And it might even increase now that the infectious disease clinic is being moved into the county senior area. You might get more people coming down there. Are you prepared for that?
Well, I think that at last I heard the clinic was on hold.
Right.
Okay, so we'll, and I don't know that, that's something we have to look at it. But
All right,
right now, the clinic's on hold, so it's not something that has an impact.
So the township's on top of that because of that
We've been involved
condition
with that.
of coming in there with
We got that.
infectious disease thing?
We do
Okay, very good.
take our
Thank you.
lead from the health department.
We're on it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Close the public portion. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes. Okay. That's all she wrote. We go down to administrative reports. Any comments or questions? And then we have council comments. Tom?
I'm going to keep it simple. I got a feeling I might be talking more in a few minutes. November 4th, December 9th. Vote no. We have to get this word out as much as we can. That's all I'm going to say. Vote no for all the school referendums for that.
Well, for anybody that came out to Oktoberfest, the Town Bank Fire Department put on a pretty good 3-day festival over at the airport, and I know a lot of people enjoyed themselves there. And the Clubhouse Road update, South State says that on the week of October 27th, they should be putting the drainage in and paving from the north to the south. So we're looking forward to getting that road fixed and fixed right. That's all I have.
Well, October obviously has been a busy week, or busy month here in Lower Township. Was happy to participate in the Saturday, October 11th. They had the Lower Township Children's Fund benefit for Christmas at the Villas Fire Department. It was very well attended. The volunteers were unbelievable, and it was a great turnout helping disadvantaged kids in the township. The 12th was obviously, I know Deputy Mayor will talk more about the grand reopening of the Fishing Creek School. Also this past weekend, we had Haunted High School at the high school, which has just grown each year, and it couldn't be done without the students, the staff, and volunteers as well. Also, obviously, the rec department in Cold Spring Village for the Halloween parade and the Rotary Club for the Pumpkin Fest. And again, kudos to the Town Bank Fire Department for Oktoberfest. That's something that's been growing as well each year for the community. And just want to let people know about a community night that is every Wednesday night at the high school under the lights on the track, 6:30 to 8:30. You can bring your family out. You can run, jog, walk, crawl if you want. That's every Wednesday night from 6:30 to 8:30. And rounding it out is this Saturday is Lower Cape May Regional's homecoming. It is 1 o'clock at the high school. They play Cedar Creek, so come out and support the football team as well as the cheerleaders and the pep band, and it should be a great day. That's it for me.
Thank you. Norris?
Mayor, I've asked for an opportunity to make a presentation for my council comments. May I go down forward?
Proceed. Need lights out?
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a bunch of other things I'd rather be talking about tonight, but I've asked to make a presentation for two reasons. One, because it's a very serious matter, and it's also very shocking, and I think it's going to take a diagram and a chart for you folks to believe that this is actually happening. So I'm just going to ask for your patience as we go through a couple of things that have been happening here in the township that are very serious. First of all, as you know, we've been having a very big conversation here in our township over this MUA. And it's been going on for some time, and folks have been coming in here with big concerns about what's going over at the MUA. And we've been listening to it, and you know the story, but we felt it was important to look into it. And furthermore, I felt it was important, and other council members felt it was important, to actually start going to the MUA meetings and expressing our concerns and getting under the hood and under the covers with what's going on over there. Here are the things that what I've gone over to the MUA to talk about, and I know other members of council have also gone over, like Councilman Neville. First of all, obviously, we want to remind the MUA that that's $1 million a year that a lot of folks are finding, and that's $83,000 a month for ratepayers, okay, every year. But the other things we've been talking about is that we don't think we should be using ratepayer money to fund a misinformation campaign against the idea of merging the MUA with the township. Now tonight, we learned that the rules of the game are that if this township, even though this township is altogether in favor of not changing the funding formula, we're all in favor. I don't think Sherlock Holmes could find anyone in Lower Township who would think that they would want to change the way we do the funding of this school. And even though we're all against it and we all want to vote no, we are not allowed to spend our money, the township's money, on a campaign to try to convince the voters to vote down that school question. Because there might be somebody in the township that is for it, and they have a right to that money. They don't think, the rule is you can't use the public's money to promote a campaign on a ballot question or on an issue that we're facing. And so the taxpayers are raising the money to put up the signs. The same principle applies here. The ratepayers are putting money into the MUA, but they're taking the money from the MUA, they're giving it to a firm, and the firm's putting up a website and they're putting out information that's wrong. And we went to the meetings and called them on it, and they didn't really disagree with us, or they just remained quiet. We've gone over there and said, please, gentlemen, let's focus on solving the problems. We heard there were some serious infrastructure issues that need to be dealt with. What is the long-term plan? Are you looking at it? Let's focus on that and not focus on all this other stuff. One of the last meetings we went to, we found out they dug up a street on Miami. They didn't have a permit, and it cost a lot of money, and they had to fill it back up again. It cost about $30-some thousand, just wasted, because somebody didn't know they should have a permit. We also saw that it was almost a blatant violation of the Open Public Meetings Act at the MUA, where the vice chairman just said, you know, he was asked by one of the people, why did you support this this raise? And he basically said, well, he said, well, I talked to this fellow over here on the board, Mr. Biddings, and then I ran into this person over here on the board in the local store, and we all agreed that there should be a tax raise. That there should be a pay raise. Basically, a violation of the rules. We're not supposed to be having meetings to make these important decisions as a body apart from a council or a board meeting. And then finally, the last meeting we went to, they brought forth a budget. Only the problem was they didn't give the budget to anybody. Now imagine that. They announced they're doing a budget. They said that they weren't going to have enough money from coming in to take care of everything, so they were going to be dipping into the reserves of the MUA, seriously dipping into the reserves, and to fund their operations so they wouldn't have a ratepayer increase. We said, well, could we see that? No, we don't see it. So I say this because these are the things that we were coming to the MUA to discuss respectfully, of concern about how our MUA is being taken care of. Now, in the context of this, the last meeting I went to, Councilman Neville went to, Following an MUA meeting, Jim Neville, Councilman Neville, borrows a map. It's the map that's the intellectual property of the township, generated by the township, under a contract. It was a map pertaining to his ward. It was in plain sight of everybody. There was a police officer there, which you're going to see in a minute. The map is a piece of paper and a poster board, probably worth a couple of bucks. But it was a map of a situation in his ward. And next slide, we're going to see, there's Councilman Neville, and I think that's Bob. And then there's Frank is right there too, and they're looking at the map, right? This is the map that's out there in the hallway. The police officer comes out, it's 5:41. This is after we had our meeting. I think MUA was going into closed session. And they're looking at this map together. Next slide. There's Councilman Neville carrying the map. There's Frank and Bob watching him. Oh, yeah, come on. Now, the police officer has just walked out the door ahead of this, okay? That's what you're seeing. The police officer is just outside the door. There's Councilman Neville. There's Frank following him out. Someone else. Next one. Okay. This is now October 3rd. You just saw October 1st following the board meeting on a Wednesday. So now October 3rd, it'd be a Friday at 2:05 p.m. There's a picture of Councilman Neville bringing back the map and making sure they know he's bringing back the map, putting it back to where it was. Okay? A couple of days. A couple of dollars worth of a map talking about a problem in his issue, and he was asked by members, a couple of the gentlemen sitting here, could you look into this and find out what's going on? Okay. Next slide, please. Now, I've just outlined what Councilman Neville did. Now I'm going to show you a different timeline, and it's going to be a timeline of what members of the MUA organization and others did in response to this. First off, at 10:11 a.m., Sharon Otto, who's the manager for the MUA, sends a surveillance video to Jeff Barnes, who is the MUA legal counsel, by email. A video, just like what you just saw. At 10:44 the same day, Mr. Barnes confirms with Otto that he has the video. He's gotten it from her. Then at 12:52 p.m., Otto to Barnes, I spoke to Brian O'Connor. Brian O'Connor is the chairman of the MUA. I spoke to Brian O'Connor. Have you spoken to him? He's the one who said I should contact you with the info. At 12:53 p.m., Barnes to Otto. We're working on it. Please sit tight. We'll have more direction for you tomorrow. Okay? Next slide. Now, October 3rd, 10:58 in the morning, Otto to Barnes asking for an update. Okay, what's happened? You got the video, what's going on? Barnes to Otto, request for a board, phone numbers and emails. At 11 o'clock, 11:42, Oprah request from Kevin Lair for the MUA surveillance video. Now, I'm going to show you an org chart of who Kevin Lair is, but he is our former deputy mayor. After he was not elected, he got a job at the county in purchasing. It was a great opportunity because they had a hiring freeze at the time.
Was he the mayor's former running mate?
And the next step is 2:05 p.m. MUA receives the map back from Councilman Neville. You saw the picture of him returning that at 2:05. 2:36. Mr. Barnes, the legal guy, sends an email with the attached letter to our solicitor, Ron Galzunas. And in that letter, he states, we are not accusing Mr. Neville of theft or official misconduct, but we've got some concerns. Then at 3:12, Otto to Barnes reports he returned the map. And she said he just said he was checking it out. So she's reporting back to the legal guy that Councilman Simon said, I'm just checking out the map. All right, next slide, please. So what does the legal gentleman say on October 3rd? Mr. Barnes says back to Manager Otto, after he had just said that he wrote a letter just 30 minutes before saying, I'm not accusing him of anything, but he says in an email to Otto, you cannot unsteal something. That's a quote from the email from the lawyer. And then Manager Otto sends an email to herself saying, we are doing a video of him returning the map. Now, these were all from emails that we had requested be turned over to us that was going back and forth about what was going on. Then on October 7th, ladies and gentlemen, Vice Chairman Frizzoli of the MUA goes down to our police station and files a complaint. And on the complaint, he says he works for the MUA, and he's filing this action at our police station against Councilman Simonson. Neville.
Hey, I can steal anything.
And
I don't take things that don't belong. Leave me out of it.
now, what's important to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is that these actions, the lawyer was engaged, videos were going out as a result of a request, and the vice chairman was going to the police station to file a complaint. And there is no evidence at all that the MUA met, discussed it, and decided that this warranted using up the lawyer's time to send letters to us, and whether it warranted having the vice chairman go down to the police station. Imagine that. They didn't have a meeting. Because if you're going to make charges on behalf of the MUA, don't you think you'd have a meeting about it? If you're going to ask your attorney to spend money sending letters to the township, don't you think you'd want to have a meeting about it? I mean, look, we had to decide in a public fashion for every little bit we took, every little step we took. There was no meeting for this action. Next slide. All right, this is the org chart, because you got to keep all the players in view here. Now, here's the connections. Up at the top, you have the county Republican leadership. Jeff Lindsay is the Human Resources Director for the County of Cape May. Happens to be the stepson of the Freeholder Director. And he is also, not only is he the HR Director of the county, he is also the leader of the Lower Township Republican Organization. Okay. Now, who reports to him? Kevin Lair, he's the purchasing agent and former deputy mayor as a Republican. So then you have the MUA down there at the bottom right. You got the board. The majority of the board is controlled by Republican. Let me finish, Councilman. I'm doing my. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tom. The fact of the matter is, I've got the MUA board there, and I've also shown you Mr. Barnes and Mr. O'Connor. Now, the next thing over here on the left, if you go around the list, what's happened here is that Mr. Lair gets the video from the MUA, gives it to Jeff Lindsay, who is the Lower Township Republican leader, and then the next thing you know, on Sunday night after all of this, and I'm going to show you a picture, a press release comes out from Jeff Lindsay, the Lower Township Republican leader, to the newspapers, and a video shows up on the campaign website, the Facebook page of Conrad Perry and Simonson for Council, and it says right there, "To catch a thief." They made a video entitled "To Catch a Thief." They put it showing the picture of him carrying out the $2 map. They put it on their campaign website, and they sent it to the newspapers Sunday night. So Monday, next slide, please. So here are our good candidates, their families and their kids. I'm glad the school kids, the young man from school left not to have to see all this. But there's the campaign site of everybody, happy family and kids, with the picture and the video accusing Councilman Neville of being a thief. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the MUA is losing $83,000 a month. The MUA is wasting money. The MUA is digging into our reserves to balance their budget. They've got infrastructure problems. They've got lots of things to be focusing on. But instead of doing that, they spend 2 days focused on where a $2 map is and sending a video out to smear a sitting councilman in front of his family. Now, it's bad. The priorities are off. The priorities are off. We should be focusing on the infrastructure. We should be focusing on solving the problems. We should be focusing on how we could save money. This is not what we should be focusing on. If one of these good men, anybody who had walked into Township, maybe he was a candidate for public office, and maybe they saw a diagram about the fire hydrants, and they were concerned about the fire hydrants in this town, and that person walked out of the building with the map or the picture or the diagram that belonged to the Township about the fire hydrants, what would you do? What would any normal human being do? You'd call him up. You'd say, "Hey, you got the diagram? Bring it back when you're done." No. At the MUA, it didn't happen that way. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've already talked about the fact that we are misappropriating money at the MUA. We've said that you can't use the ratepayer money to try to do a misinformation campaign against the ratepayers. We've already exposed the fact that when there was very delicate, controversial, a videotape pertaining to an employee of the MUA, and it was a very sensitive matter, we saw that the chairman, the man now vice chairman of the MUA, rather than giving it to the proper authorities, immediately, by his own testimony, takes it and gives it to his good friend, Jeff Lindsay, the Lower Township Republican leader. We've already talked about how this is a shadow network, or shadow government that the governor has said needs to be brought into the light. We've seen that at the MUA meetings, they're not focused on solving the problems and dealing with the infrastructure. And now, I don't know how else you can describe this or understand it, but we've witnessed the blatant use of an authority to smear the reputation of a councilman for political purposes. Now, this is wrong on so many levels.
This whole thing is wrong. You're absolutely right.
It's wrong on so many levels, and it's not, the biggest issue is not, and as bad as it is, and as wrong as it is to Councilman Neville, what's wrong here is that we're cheating the taxpayers and the ratepayers. Folks, the governor of the state finance board, the auditor for the MUA and the township, the editorial boards of virtually every news organization around here, the treasurer, the manager, they've all lined up repeatedly and said, this is a good idea. It's like there's $1 million in front of us there. It's just looking at us. Well, maybe it's not quite maybe it's 950,000, but it's a big pot of money right there, and it belongs to the ratepayers. And instead of, I can't believe we don't just go for it. It's a no-brainer. Step forward and let's start getting the savings. But instead of that, we're sitting here saying, well, maybe it's not quite $1 million. Or we're standing up and saying, wait a minute, we are going to add $17 million in new debt to the taxpayers of this township. That's what they're saying. We're going to add $17 million in new debt. It's not new debt. That's not true. It's not new. It's old. And furthermore, we're already on the hook for it. It's already on the hook. So we're putting fear into people's, it's like, here's the $1 million in front of you, and we're putting fear in front of us so that we don't go for it. Now, okay, I'm going to wrap this up. We can't let this get away with. We can't let this happen. We can't let these people get away with it. This is wrong.
Mr. Clark, could I ask you a question?
No, sir, I'm just going to be finished.
So you're saying it's okay to take things that don't belong to you? Is that the moral of the story?
Mr. Simonson, I think this is serious enough to warrant calling for an investigation into the MUA by the county prosecutor, by the State Finance Board, and by the Attorney General. I'm just asking council to consider a resolution to investigate the MUA, starting with the county prosecutor. And secondly, I'm calling for a resolution that would call for the resignation of Chairman O'Connor and Vice Chairman Rizzoli of the MUA board. Could I have the last? Finally, gentlemen, this is a good man, and you put up on your Facebook page a picture of him in front of your family and all of our families in this township, calling him a thief. And I think that's a slur against his good reputation, and it's wrong. And you gentlemen owe him an apology. You owe him an apology. Ladies and gentlemen, the MUA is broken, and it's out of bounds, and it's out of control, and we're losing money every month. We've got to do something about it. Please don't let them take this opportunity away from us, and don't let them, through political dirty tricks, slur the good reputation of a good man for the sake of political campaigns and to try to steer an election. It's so wrong. Thank you.
And what did you call this tonight? And last meeting, Mr. Doherty stood up and said, please stop the politics at council meetings, and this month, we got what?
Okay.
Pure attack.
Well, we're all going to have a chance to talk here.
Right. Answer what?
Okay, who made it that way? You?
Time out.
I didn't take anything.
Time out.
You just watched the video.
Where's the light switch? Okay, time out. No. Council has the right now, council only to discuss it. And Norris's presentation, I think that both council people have the right to respond, as I am also.
I'm trying to.
So if you have something to say, you want me to talk, I will. That's your prerogative. I mean, sometimes, this to me is the mortal sin of government. This is what they do in banana republics. This is where you take government, the mechanism of government, the money, the power that government has, and you use it to steer an election.
Which is what you're doing, yes.
By smearing a candidate, by sitting back, and you'll have a chance to answer this, Tom. You have a chance, you'll have all the chance in the world. It's so obvious that there's a shadow government, and inside the shadow government, there's another shadow government. There's two of them. The small core shadow government is the Republican administration, the organization leadership that comes over and is also part of the leadership of
Mayor, this has nothing to do with the council meeting. I don't know why
It has
you're
a lot to do
politicking.
with the council meeting.
No, you're just bashing people for the party. I mean, that's not what these meetings are
I'm not
for.
bashing anybody for I'm bashing the leadership of an organization that has taken over our MUA. That's all I'm doing. And it is the truth. And every time we get near the truth, you get squirmy. And here we are. So the bottom line of this is, as I pointed out 4 months ago, when board member Frazzoli said, I got this tape, an incriminating tape that was given to him that had to do with an issue that should have gone to the MUA, and in the minutes he says, well, no, I took it to my good friend Jeff Lindsay. Okay, now, the question I never asked him was, which I am dying to, is if Jeff Lindsay said burn it, would you have burn it? I mean, the reality is, why would you see that your reporting, your chain of command goes through the organization when you're talking about the control of our MUA, our MUA? This is the townspeople, the ratepayers' MUA. Doesn't belong to a political organization for them to use. I'll tell you what, when they found out that this Jim's only crime was he tried to help his neighborhood by taking a poster board, where in the name of God did common sense fall apart in this game? Didn't somebody sit back and say, wait a second, call a guy up and tell him when he's done, bring it back, and if we need, they're in a closed session, bring it back. When he's done, we'll make a copy for him. If that had happened, you look at things, you talk about do unto others. You talk about lines in the sand. What would you not do to win an election? I will not smear some guy that has his family and put him on Facebook and YouTube and all that and call him a thief when he's not. When he's not. I've been there. I've been hit. And people don't know what it's like inside your household. When all of a sudden you're on the front page and somebody's accusing you of something you didn't do. And they throw these things at you. I'm really surprised at you guys, Tom. And I'm being truthful about that. And I don't think Dave understood what was happening here. I really don't. But the bottom line is you took a guy that has done nothing. Are you calling him a thief? Are you calling him a thief?
No, he took something without permission.
Is that, are you saying, because your website calls him a thief?
Is that my website? It's registered to my name.
Is your name on it?
Yeah, there's a bunch of things. Okay.
Did
You own
anybody-
that website,
Okay,
gentlemen.
fine, I own the website.
Did anybody sit back and say, call a timeout? I look at it from the ethical perspective, and I would have said, timeout. I'm not hurting somebody to win an election. I am not going to take somebody out. You're fair game up here for decisions made as I am. You want to come up and criticize me for decisions up here? Fine. But you sit back and you take a poster board. For God's sakes, the guy's taking it home to check out the areas in which he's responsible for, and you got the parade formed up. The first stop is, before the township even knows that this is an issue, operative number 1 has filed an OPA request. How did he find out? How did Kevin Lair, the Republican operative number 1, know that there was an issue down there before the township even knew? The second operative posts it up on the, on the YouTube. He issues a press release. This was a lynching. This was a character assassination and a lynching. And they drug this poor soul out there who's got his kids, his family in this town. And and I've been there. I've been through the pain of having people heap this garbage on top of you. And I really, really wish tonight you would have said to me that, this got out of control. We didn't do this. I had nothing to do with posting that, because I thought better of you before I saw that. I really thought,
I thought
this
better
is.
of you till I saw this.
And that's fine, Tom. And anytime there's truth that needs to be told, if you think I would, you know what, if these guys tried to do this to you, I'd say, no way. No way I'm doing that. And I have to stand up and say this is wrong. You have the hijacking of an organization. You know what this is really reminiscent of to me, and I thought of right away, is the Tea Party and the IRS scandal, because you're using government as a weapon to steal an election. And it's on a microscopic level, this is what this is. And it's what we don't like in this country, because it's the difference between us and a banana republic. It's what makes us a democracy and makes us really, in a lot of ways, American. We do not allow these agencies, authorities, to get in the middle of a campaign. And at the end of that tube, at the end of that parade that was formed down there with the band playing and everything, was a splash on the internet with thousands of people viewing these things that this guy's a thief. People coming up to me in the store and saying, what the heck are they calling him a thief for? People who actually looked into it became hysterical. They were outraged that over a poster board, you're dragging a councilman out in the open and doing this to him. If you had him on video wheeling out a couple computers, Jimmy, kiss you goodbye. A poster board of his area. Is there any common sense left in this town? Is there anything left? You never should have done this. You just should not have done this. And now that you have the opportunity to sit here and say, guess what? Don't be concerned about the election. Worry about the things that you're doing that are more important right now. And you take somebody's character out and you throw them up and down the street, somebody's going to hold you guys accountable for this someday. And I'm telling you right now. Feel free to add on, Tom. I mean, you might have a defense somewhere, but I don't know where it's at.
It's the continual bashing of political parties.
By the way, I do not want to be in any way construed as bashing a political party. I don't want to say that this, I'm very serious about this, because I think that what you're doing is a disgrace to the Republican Party. I think the principles of the Republican Party are being disgraced by your actions, and I don't want to in any way misalign the Republican principles.
You've been doing it for the past few months, so
No, sir.
Stop now.
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, I
think
have
this
the
is-
floor if you would remember.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the continual bashing of this. The funny thing is, I tried to explain. We didn't know what was going on at the beginning, as he said, but guess what? We didn't do this. This is the typical last meeting, someone accused certain people of being a bully, the bully tactics. Oh, the reason this happened is he punched me back. Okay. Remember the MUA closed session meeting that was immediately put on the Herald? Same type of thing. Someone got an open request. We didn't even know what was going on until after the fact. We didn't hear anything about it. We didn't do it. We didn't touch anything. We didn't take anything. Someone going in your house, taking some of yours, it's a different story. But this last meeting, someone stood up and said the politics have to come out of council meeting. And what do we see? Another total bashing with politics at the meeting. We're supposed to be dealing with the issues at the township, not political campaigns which keep being brought in. I know this is probably the last meeting the politics is going to be there, because next meeting is like before the election. These are the games that we've been playing for the past year, and they gotten real bad the past 6 months. I've talked to people all over the street, all over the place, and they're tired of it. And here we go again. Council comments, we have a presentation about this. Thank you for hijacking the council meetings.
You would.
So, speaking of hijacking council meetings, I went away one day on vacation, and I apparently encouraged the township to get on Facebook to communicate better with people about what was going on, so that they wouldn't be surprised about things, and we should really do our best to get the word out. And this was something I started to do back as soon as I got into office, before Councilman Simonson was even elected back to council. But because he didn't know about it, and he didn't get the facts, and he didn't understand what was going on, while I was away, without having talked to me at all, he accused me of doing something illegal. And, you know, I wasn't in the middle of a political campaign, but the newspapers, based on his actions, now what do we call that when you don't get the information, you accuse someone of doing something wrong? It's not just me. You guys have been, Eric, you've been saying that the mayor's done things wrong, the manager's been doing things wrong, I've been doing things wrong, we haven't been following the rules. And you know, but it's one thing to do that sort of thing because you don't check the facts and do the homework. But this is a different league. This is a different category. You've taken a video that says that a councilman is a thief and you put it on the page underneath your family. You own that. You put it right out there in the middle of a political campaign to try to convince people that the person that you're running against is a thief and you shouldn't vote for him. And that is so very wrong.
I was very intrigued to find the actual board, the diagram was taken from the MUA was the same diagram that Brian O'Connor, the chairperson, had confronted Councilman Neville with the meeting before about how there was nothing done on Roseanne Avenue. And it just happens to be the same diagram that was taken without permission. Listen, you can spin it any way you want, and you can bash me or bash whoever you want, but the bottom line is, you know, you don't take things that don't belong to you. All right, and it would have been a lot. It would have been a lot
to the township.
It did not belong to him, and it would have made more sense to apologize and giving it back instead of sneaking in trying to put it back.
Sneaking in.
And as far as what you're claiming me of, I'm just trying to. I mean, you did something that you shouldn't have done, but you're going to spin that like it's my fault. You took your own credit card, opened a Facebook page, and you were the sole autonomous owner of that page. You were putting out all the information on that page. To me, there's 5 people up here that are supposed to work for this government and for this town, and you were controlling it as one, and that's wrong. And I will call you out on that every time.
So okay, Eric. You said...
You spin it any way you want.
No,
you can't do that.
You said I did it without your permission, and I did it without anyone's permission. That's what you said. You accused me of being a rogue operator, spending money without permission. It was a decision that was made before you even got on council, number one. So it wasn't being done outside of...
I'm not
number two. You brought up.
You're going to keep bringing up accusing me of something.
Number two, the manager, I got permission from the manager, the clerk, the treasurer, and the purchasing person. I covered every base. I announced that we were going to...
All right, we're off of that. Okay.
Yeah, I really...
Okay,
Can I just clarify one thing, if I can, because I don't think any of you has brought it up, and I'm not getting in the middle of this battle, but that poster board, the township paid for that print. The taxpayers paid for it, was provided by Hatchmont McDonald on the Roseanne Avenue.
So why didn't someone just ask to borrow it? Or why, I mean, Mr. Neville, do you have a cell phone? Why didn't you just take a picture of it and take it home? I don't know why it had to be taken out of it.
And I would prefer in a certain way, with the potential, it's a delicate situation because of the fact that you do have the potential where these charges could go further. I mean, you had...
Well, if that's the case, you just had a full-out presentation on, then that shouldn't have been done.
But he's not saying anything. We are. And that's basically what we're trying to say. And some of the impetus behind this, and I mean, again, I firmly believe a couple things. One of them is that if his name was Conrad or Simonson, we're not even...
Be on the front page of the press tomorrow morning, guaranteed.
You would have had it right there.
Okay.
Be on every paper tomorrow morning, first thing.
Okay, well, we've gone round and round with this. And I'm going to make the motion, okay? I'm going to make a motion before council here that we authorize our solicitor to collect all the data that we have and to use all the information from both angles, whether or not it's the video that shows him walking out with Jimmy walking out, no matter what it is, all the data that we've collected that shows, and I think you skipped, there was more than one OPA request by Kevin Lair. There was an OPA request not only for the original surveillance tape, and a point that must be made with the surveillance tape is that it's one of the few things that a township or an MUA does not have to give up. Because the theory behind it is, when you give up your surveillance tapes, you're letting the bad guys know where the cameras show, where the angles are. So technically, they're not operable unless the authority wants to give them up. Okay? So it's not like they had to give that tape up. It has to be done voluntarily. It's an exception to the OPA request. Okay, so I'm asking.
But they do have the option, don't they have the option to
They
give
do.
that up?
They have the
Yes,
option
okay.
whether to or not.
Thank
The end result of this is I'm asking council to approve sending all the data that we can collect, the tape, the emails that we have opened, the arrest report, and to contact the county prosecutor, the state attorney general's office, and a local finance board, and to get some kind of action on this.
On what, exactly?
On the entire issue that took place down there. This is what we're focusing on, is with the prosecutor and the attorney general, this issue at hand, is this the grand theft order that has taken place here? Or do we have something happening here that is much more grievous? Which is.
I'm a little confused on this. First, it's going to have the solicitor do an investigation.
No, it's not an investigation. He's going to collect all the
That's what you
information.
started off with.
I have a document, the relevant law that is being addressed, that says that we have the right to investigate based on mismanagement. And on that basis, we've already outlined a number of cases of clear misappropriation, mismanagement, and on that basis, we have the legal authority to pursue an investigation.
Okay.
I'm trying to
So,
figure out what the
what-
investigation, to get clarification.
Well,
That's what I'm asking.
first one, the resolution I'm making, or the motion, is to send it to the prosecutor's office and let him sort out what exactly happened and what the follow-up that was conducted by the MUA, whether or not they had the right, the various threads that are involved, whether there was put into motion the apparatus without the body of the MUA acting, without the authority.
Mayor, why don't you
acting
put that in writing and we can vote on it next meeting? This
don't
is
think
something,
so.
you don't just bring a motion up in the middle of, you told me that before. when I wasn't allowed to do it
I'm
in
going to
the
make it
past.
right here, right now. I want to send this to the county prosecutor.
The whole thing, including the taking of the.
I got you.
everything.
I got that.
Yeah, it's okay.
And we're not going to send the edited version that the MUA gave. We'll send the whole version. Okay? And all documents and all videotapes related to this incident, I want, by now, the prosecutor probably has his own room down at the MUA. So we could probably just ask him to come out of the office and look at this with all the different things that they've been down there for. But I want it to go to the prosecutor. Ron, what do you need?
I'll just refer over the, essentially the presentation that was presented by Councilman Clark, as well as any other information we have on hand, and simply ask the
Okay.
county prosecutor to review
Well,
it.
you would be authorized to go to the prosecutor concerning this issue.
On behalf, I think what your resolution would accomplish would be, as an act of the township, to alert the county
Yes.
prosecutor, as opposed to just any individual, because
Now,
anyone
We're
can go
doing what
alert.
they didn't do.
I think, yes.
We're doing what they didn't do.
Yes. If you're asking me on behalf of the township, in the name of the township, to take an action,
That's what I'm.
you're authorizing that.
To-
And anyone of the public or anyone of
I want you to
here
go,
or the manager could alert, has the right to alert law enforcement or state authorities or anyone.
I think you should be the one to go. Okay? And I'll make the motion that we authorize Ron to pursue.
Well, I think Councilman Clark also, and I think the law he's referring to is under the, refer to the local finance board. I think he mentioned request an investigation by them.
As well,
management,
yes.
And also the Attorney
You need
General's office. I think
separate motions for each one?
No, I'm going to refer it. You refer it. You can
Okay.
add the,
Well, those three,
all appropriate authorities. You could couch it in those terms, all appropriate relevant authorities.
Okay. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes, yes.
Did we make a motion that you
I meant to say the local authorities fiscal control law.
you collate all the information that's available
Right.
and take it to the appropriate authorities for investigation?
Right. Now, that actually would allow the local finance board on its own authority, if they chose to do so, to dissolve the MUA.
Well, that's, so be it. But at the end of it, that's what my motion will be, that we authorize the solicitor to collect all the information that he can find in relationship to this. Now, there's a difference, because if you're referring to the prosecutor, it has to be for this specific incident. If you're going to the local finance board, it might be the totality of circumstances.
Well, I'm not, I wouldn't be in a position to confine or direct the county prosecutor's office.
No, I'm not saying that.
They'll
I'm just
look
saying that
into-
we're talking about, we're going to the prosecutor because of what's happened down at the MUA over the past 2 weeks. Okay? Ever since that meeting night, everything that has occurred up to this point, I want the prosecutor to look at it. I mean, I just am astounded by what has happened. I think, I've said enough. We'll move forward. I make that motion.
I second.
Again, I thought, I tried to make a motion, but you told us that you can't, do as I say, not as I do. I mean, it's,
You
where,
amended the motion last week?
amendments are different. Amendments are different than making a motion on.
Well, I'm making this
I
motion.
remember when one of the appointments, I
Not-
made a motion, and you made it clear that
Well,
we were no
the
longer to do
circumstances-
motions during council
The
comments.
circumstances of this specific instance, regardless of anything else, mandate that we move forward.
Because you're doing it, so you take
Now,
precedent, is
I'm
that
doing
it?
it because you've smeared this poor soul, and I want somebody to take a look at this, real quick.
And furthermore, we're trying to do it right, Eric. The MUA,
Doing it right would be to write up the resolution and to vote on it at the next meeting.
Yeah, like we couldn't even
motion.
discuss it last time, right?
That's the correct way.
Okay, quick clarification, Mike.
Go ahead.
You're going from the night of the meeting till now, correct?
Well, I'm saying,
I'm just
anything
asking,
to
yes.
do with this,
Yes, from that, for this
for the
incident.
prosecutor.
Okay.
And now, I'm saying that that's what we're giving him. If he comes in there and he finds out that there's other things, like, as the solicitor said, we don't control the prosecutor.
No.
I'm just saying that the data we're going to collect would entail that specific period in this incident.
Okay.
As far as the local finance board, their criteria may be different. That's why it might, be a separate motion.
and look, we've been going down there to the MUA stating, you're doing wrong.
I've seen you at the meetings.
Yes.
Yes.
And they're not disagreeing. They're just sitting there like, so what? And trying to,
Okay, we're going to vote.
Yeah.
I'm not being funny.
Ron, are
We're
you
gonna-
all right with this?
I am.
Where are we at? What's your instructions, Ron, so we make sure we're all on the same?
Make the motion to refer this incident that was depicted in the presentation to all appropriate authorities, relevant
Okay.
authorities, which would include the local finance board, the state attorney general's office, and the Cape May County prosecutor's office.
Okay.
I made the motion.
I second.
Or second it.
Second. Now we get a vote on it.
Councilmember Conrad?
Since we're doing it from the beginning till now, and if there's any wrongdoing, yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember
Allowed to
Simons?
vote?
Is he allowed to vote on it?
Well, yeah, we're sending everything over, so.
All right, I just want to make
I don't want
a,
him to get any problems. I'm trying to protect him.
for the record, if you look
Serious.
back several meetings ago, where the mayor would not let me make a motion during the council comments, but I can see that, I guess it doesn't apply to the rest of council. But with that, no, that's not true.
All right, we're okay up here. Let him say what he wants.
But I vote yes.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes. Hold on, I got to do my council. I lost my.
Public comment?
You lost
I got him. All right, don't chip me. I get to make announcements. We have the haunted trails. Eileen, have you taken, anything to say on that? October 25th at the airport, 7 to 9. Trick or treat in Lower Township, Friday, October 31st, 6 to 8 p.m. And the grand public tag sale at the Manzoni property on Saturday, October 25th, 2610 Bay Shore Road, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. inspection of items. 9 a.m. the sale begins. All items cash and carry. All items must be removed immediately. Items of interest include a kitchen, a furnace, antique doors, windows, office furniture, and much, much more over there. So that's right next door, right?
Yep.
We're selling some of Mike Voll's old sport coats too over there. We're just trying to make a couple bucks for the budget, so you guys are around, we can roll with that. All right, so, all right, so we open it up now to public comments. Okay, somebody raised their hand. Okay, I think Pete Bitting had his hand up first.
From the villas. The only thing I got to say, I've been on that board for 13 years, and I haven't done anything wrong, and I don't agree with you bringing my name up all the time in here. You know, it's not fair. I didn't do a thing. I didn't even know nothing about this to about
That's the whole point.
4 days afterwards. I know.
That's the whole point.
I think it should go to prosecutors.
I agree with you.
And I'm one of the board members.
Okay, thank you.
And to get this thing over with. But
well
I don't
spoken.
appreciate you bringing my name up. I don't come up here complaining about nothing, but this is something. There's no wrongdoing for me down there. I've been there 13 years, so.
Well, your outrage should be down there at the people who took action without you even knowing about
but
that.
I mean, it don't have to be brought up here. That's the second time you brought my name up about the MUA. and
Yeah,
it's
but
not
the
fair.
one time had to do with the fact that, wait a second, a fact is a fact, Pete.
I
Come on,
know.
you're a Republican committee man.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a big deal. I'm not saying that. My point was, in the beginning, when I brought your name up, which was
Yeah,
months
right.
ago, had to do with that circumstances. There are 3 Republican committee people on there. That's what I said. I did not say anything disparaging about you.
No, I
People
didn't,
are
I didn't
friends.
say you. I just didn't want this.
I
I wanted to
remember-
let you know I'm in favor of this, too, to go to prosecutors.
Well, you
'Cause
should
I
be-
want my name cleared out
I
there.
got you.
You understand?
Your name did not surface at all, and the reason, and not for anything, we were supposed to do a second motion, which had to do with the removal of asking them to resign.
Yeah.
Okay, for Zoli and O'Connor. And that's the question with the chairman is that it was obvious he was copied on the emails. Therefore, he knew about it, and he had a chance to stop it. You didn't.
No,
You
I
had no
didn't know.
knowledge of
I
this.
knew nothing of it.
I understand that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, hold on, we got a line coming. This lady in the front, and we'll work our way back. I'm sure everybody wishes to speak, and everybody will have their opportunity.
Thank you, Mayor Beck, and thank you, council. I will be just a matter of seconds. I know every one of you. Some of you I know longer. Some of you I've known since you were in high school. You're all good men, and I believe that. But I've been playing the political game since I was 16 years old. I'm now 72. That's 56 years of playing the political game, probably longer than several people in this room have even been walking this earth. We do a disservice to our causes and to our candidates when we are discourteous and disruptive. While we have the right to opposing views, we also have the right to be heard. 2 weeks ago, I asked for the room to be called to order because the chatter by both sides made it difficult to hear the person at the microphone. Tonight, I'm offering an olive branch to everyone here. It is my hope that we will all be respectful to everyone in this room, everyone connected to the election, elected officials alike. While you are definitely sitting up there on the podium, you represent the people from your district and for this wonderful town of Lower Township. I would hope that you would put your best foot forward at all times. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, well said. I have to say, I understand after the last couple of meetings, it's been a little bit of a problem out there. I don't hear it up here. It's the way that the room's situated, it doesn't carry up here all the time. So, there's people back there have to say, hey, time out on the field, and I think we've taken other steps to try and keep that to a minimum. Other people have comments that haven't been up yet. If people that haven't been up yet, we'll give them a turn before we go back to people that have been here. There's a couple people in the back, if you would come forward. There's two that have their hands up. There's a lady with the hat, and there's the gentleman right in front of her. If you're the next two, when this lady finishes, then you can get up, the other gentleman. No, it depends. We're going to go through everybody to give them all a chance, Mrs. Donna. Come on, you got to be fair. Yes, ma'am.
Mary Reeder from the
Yes.
Villas. I heard a lot of history tonight, meaning that in the relatively short time I've been coming to meetings, I've heard stories dredged up again and again. So I'll dredge up just one reminder that there are issues. When I started going to MUA meetings, the last chairperson is still, I believe, under investigation. I mean, the one who is removed, or removed himself. So there are shadows, and they didn't start in the last 2 weeks. I would also question some, I know there's a word for it, and I don't want to use the word slanderous, loaded language. And one instance that I note is concerning your mention of the budget, the MUA budget. And it was said rather mockingly that it wasn't presented. Well, what I heard and what made sense governmentally to me was that there are steps in the process of creating a budget. And to say that those steps had not been completed did not seem untoward to me at all. But there was a spin that was not good, that was some more shady business at the MUA. Another related to the way it was stated that the MUA is just ripping through debt, going into debt, big debt. But that wasn't what I heard. I did not hear, in fact, I thought I heard there was a reduction in the amount of money that would be spent this year, and that it possibly would be even less than the reduction that was mentioned. I'll just mention one last thing, and that is, I didn't see a $2 poster. I wouldn't have seen a price tag on it. But it wasn't in the room where the public meeting was held. So I don't understand why, if this was in the public area, when the members went into their closed meeting, I don't know where it was. So while the council was in the meeting and the public room was being vacated, I don't know where that poster was. but I guess that will come out in the investigation. Da-da-da-da. I feel like the Pink Panther must be somewhere. That's it.
Ma'am, I refer you to the editorial board of the Press of Atlantic City wrote a very lengthy statement about how inappropriate it was for an organization like the MUA to issue a budget without giving people the copies of the budget. That's number
the Atlantic City Press, but that
That's
wasn't
because
what I heard.
it's based on what is expected of a public body and what's the responsibility of an organization. That's number one. Whenever we put forth a budget, we have to come out and show people a copy of it. That's number one. It's a real clear rule. Number two, they were proposing it based on the numbers that we saw, an increase in their budget, an increase.
Not in the debt, because they expected to take more in.
An
That's
increase
what
in their
I heard.
budget. They were,
This is somewhere in between.
Well,
But you have the minutes, because I heard that they were going to be supplied to you at after every meeting, because you requested that. And I can't imagine why that wasn't an assumption from
well,
the beginning.
you can ask the accountant for the MUA. Please ask the accountant for the MUA if in fact they were increasing their budget, and then also be sure to ask if in fact they were dipping into their reserves in order to balance their budget and not create a rate increase. That's the point we were trying to make.
Well, then I'd have to ask, why do you have reserves if you don't have them for when you need them?
That's what they're there
You
for.
know,
What we want to do is,
you're great at presentations, and I've had my chance, and now I'm stopping.
thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody else, that gentleman in the back had his hand up first.
Glenn Douglas, North Cape, May. I will gladly, and I have submitted some of the information. I Oprah'd all the Oprah information from the MUA. Basically, I sent an Oprah request to the MUA requesting anybody that Oprah'd information. Received all that same information that was discussed here tonight. I also Oprah'd the MUA budget, and I've been denied a copy of the budget, along with the press. The press was there the day I was there. They were denied that. I also went to the MUA and I requested an ethical investigation of Mr. Fasoli 3 meetings back. I missed the next meeting. I was away. I came back the 3rd meeting, requested what was happening with the investigation. Got no answer. Nothing. I also have the information on here. I have the Facebook page that I believe Councilman Carmen, Councilman Simons, unethical and unbecoming of a council member to actually post this stuff on Facebook.
Did we post it?
It's posted on your
Okay,
site.
did we post it, yes or no?
Well,
Keep
you
it
just
simple.
said you own the site.
No, he said I did. I'm like,
I think you acknowledged you
Okay,
own the
Glenn.
site. Okay?
Did
It's
any of the Oprah
posted.
requests have my name on it, by the way? Since we're going to bring that up.
Posted.
Yes or no? I'm just asking, you're asking.
What's that?
Did any Oprah requests to MUA have my name on it that I requested any
No,
information?
you did not Oprah anything.
Okay.
Okay? But it does state here, the Lower Township, and this was written by Mr. South. Lower Township Republican Committee Chairperson Jeff Lindsay sent out a press release last Wednesday saying Ward 2 Councilman James Neville stole a Lower Township Utilities display board. Okay? Mr. Lindsay is not the attorney of the MUA, but he's basically putting information out, which is again being reposted on your web or your Facebook page. To me, it's unbecoming of a council member. It's unethical, and maybe there should be an investigation of why this is being put out. Okay?
Mr. Douglas, I have a question.
Yes.
So do you think it's becoming of a council person to walk into an MUA meeting and take something that's not theirs?
I think it's been addressed here that.
Well, I'm asking you,
What
is it
that-
okay to take things that don't belong to you?
Well, that's a
I don't know.
loaded question, really.
Well, hey,
It doesn't
it's a-
belong
it's
to
a
you.
simple question.
Again, it's the intellectual
It's a-
property belongs to the
It's a
township.
township, it belongs to the township. Okay? Another note, there continues to be, we'll say, misrepresentation to the community, misinformation being given out, and of course, it's all involved with the election, but it's being put out to the public. The $17 million debt, that was put out. That, and we talked about that at our debate. That information is being put out. It's incorrect. It needs to be addressed, and I think when you're putting that information out, if you have facts to back it up, back it up. If you don't, it needs to be retracted and the information needs to be brought back, because the community is getting misinformation on all these issues. Okay? I went to the MUA on my own. I opened everything. I wanted to find out who was getting this information out. It went directly from Mr. Lair, and then Mr. Lindsay released the video, so we know where it went to and how it got there. I have all that same information. I have all that followed track of all the emails. I opened everything, phone calls, videotapes, anything that was there about this incident. And I would gladly turn that over to the township to send to the prosecutor's office also.
Thank you. Yes, Steve.
Steve Morey, Irma.
Go ahead.
I'm going to change directions a little bit.
Go ahead.
Mike, I have a letter for you that I prepared, and I have copies for Ron, each one of the councilmen, and the floodplain manager. Make sure you send them. What I did, guys, was in review of the letter that Jessica DeVivo sent to the township on September 12th, 2014. After she wrote that letter, on several public occasions, I've heard that letter being read word for word by councilmen as gospel, that this project would negatively impact the township's ability to get flood insurance. I've had discussions with Jim Neville, particularly. We've gone back and forth a couple times on the phone, and I've advised him that what she wrote in that letter is not true. But again, I've heard it spoken to public after we had those conversations. So I took it upon myself this weekend to write a technical letter to explain the project thoroughly, how it does not impact the flood zone. I've also included some attached maps that show that this road is outside the flood zone and was not the source of flooding during Sandy. The dunes were not destroyed during Sandy. The maps are there to support my dispute of her letter, and I just prepared it for your use. I want you to read it, review it, and if you disagree or you see anything that you don't understand, I ask you guys to give me a call and talk to me about it. I'm going to stand pat with this project. It's a public safety project. We've been spending a lot of time on different topics that have to do with $1 million, that have to do with moving buildings and this and that. They may save money, they may save face, but this project someday will save a life, and I'm going to stick with it until we see it through, guys. I'm
Thank you.
serious.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
All right. Anybody else wish to address council?
Mayor.
Ed?
I'd just like to bring up the fact that when first when I was going to come up here, Deputy Mayor Clark brought up the fact about the budget. Now, I was a former commissioner down there for a period of time too. Been going to the meetings, not bragging, not just laying out a procedure that's been going on. Been going down for at least 7, 8 years. Missed very few meetings Many times there was only 3 or 4 of us there, and nobody attends those meetings down at the MUA. If you look at the boards, then when I start going down there, they did a good job down there. They went along with everything. It wasn't a politically run organization. There were board of commissioners that once they were in there, it was supposed to be a job for the ratepayers and make sure everything was going for the ratepayers. Nothing to do with taxpayers or anything like that. And increased over the period of time that I've seen down there. And as the boards changed, it progressively got worse politically. And this is what we have down there now. Everybody should go to these meetings, see what they look like. Get down there and listen to what's going on about the budget. The last meeting, they said they had the budget and the budget's ready, but they're not giving it out until this coming meeting, and then they'll vote on it. Nobody has a chance to even look at it. Nobody knows what's in there. Prior to that, the budget was available in hard copy. A month before, you could pick it up, look it over, compare it, and then any questions come up the next meeting, you could ask them, and you could find out why. It's a shadow government, man, they got that thing tight down there. They're going to do it the way they want, period, not for the ratepayers. So you're perfectly right about that. The budget, it's a mess down there. And if you would attend those meetings and progressively the way it went, it's terrible. You know what's going to happen, and you know just exactly the votes that's going to happen, who's controlling it, who's running it. It's pathetic. It's not good for the ratepayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Safran? John?
John Skronsky, 607 Arctic. What I've been listening to is Jim, they claim that he stole that map. I think he borrowed it. He didn't steal it. And as I understand, you said that the MUA was in closed session. The map is in a hallway. So who were you going to ask if you could take it? And I think you just borrowed it. I don't know what the big deal is.
That's why I said.
That's
it's
not
common
like
sense to
stealing.
rule the phone
It's
call
borrowing.
and straightened out. You know,
Thank you.
and I wish it had been a phone call. Go ahead.
But what is a big deal, Mayor? What is a big deal? And I want to go back to the resolution. I'm calling for a resolution to call upon Chairman O'Connor and Vice Chairman Frizzoli to resign. And the reason I'm doing that is because the organization is being mismanaged. We've gone down there and pointed out clearly they are misappropriating funds. They're taking ratepayer money to go on a communications and PR campaign against the idea of merging. I'm making a resolution, and
I don't see that.
am I able to make a
Make a motion.
Make a motion.
Resign.
Man, what do we do? It's public, we're in public comment.
Well, no, so the thing is, I called for this.
Write it up for the next meeting.
I'd like to
Mayor,
do
it's
it
your
now.
call. It's you preside over this meeting. It's your decision.
Let's be surprised.
Make the motion. Make the motion. They're not going to resign, but make the motion.
I make the motion that we call them to resign for the reasons I've stated, for misappropriation of funds, for allowing under their management the attorney, without any meeting of the board, to go on a campaign against the councilman, and for the vice chairman to go down and make a complaint to the police department without any meeting of the organization for something that serious. That's a clear mismanagement of the way things should be done. And I could go on and on with other reasons, but I'll leave it at
We're
that.
just going to make a motion.
Didn't we already have Mr. Galzunas to look into that, to see what's going on here?
No,
That's taking it to the prosecutor.
That's taking it to the
Right.
prosecutor, the State Finance Board, and the Attorney General. I'm just simply asking for this body to pass a resolution calling upon them to resign for the actions that I've stated.
I'll second it.
Councilmember Conrad?
No.
Councilmember Neville?
I'm going to ask advice of council.
Councilman Neville, I think you already voted on sending it up to the prosecutor's office. You are a sitting councilman. You've done nothing wrong until a court of law makes that determination, sir, and you are free to vote.
Yes.
Councilmember Simon?
Nah, this is way out of line, way out of order.
Yes. Yes. Yes, Patty? Like your shoes.
Hi, my name's Betty Summers. I'm from 200 West Atlantic Avenue. Mr. Neville, I want to apologize to you. I was at the meeting Wednesday night. They were so uncouth, screaming and hollering when you stumbled over EMT and EMS. It was a disgrace. And I agree with everything Mrs. Sparks said. And as far as you, Tom, you were up there grinning like a hyena. It was disgusting.
Okay, thank you.
One other thing, Tom. Wait a minute, I'm not finished.
Personal, not
I
council.
got it.
Anything these people want to do for our township, you're against it. Every week, it's a different reason. Now the reason is they're going to go into town hall and shoot up outside before they go in. I will go with you and sit outside of any police station down here for a whole day and count how many people come along and shoot up, and just see if that's what's going to happen here.
Thank you,
I'm
Betty.
sorry about you, Tom.
Okay.
I told you this was happening.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, just brief comments on two issues. The first is that we deserve an honest, responsible government. Parents and teachers stress the importance of honesty to little children all the way up. We make sure they know that taking anything that is not theirs, that could be a pencil in the classroom,
I agree.
is stealing. You take it, you do what you want with it and put it back, it's stealing. Councilman Neville, sorry, sir, but you stole something from the MUA. For whatever reason, you did it, and then you returned it. You didn't have permission. That's considered stealing. Look up the legal definition. Let's see. And then, Mayor Beck, you were quoted I couldn't believe it, in the Cape May Gazette,
Yeah.
saying that the Republicans are politicizing this action by filing charges against Councilman Neville.
Mm-hmm.
On May 28th and June 17th, 1972, people working for the President of the United States stole information from the Democratic headquarters. The President lied, tried to cover it up, don't be rude, and downplayed it as not a big deal.
I would never do that.
It was a big deal. It was a big deal. Do it whenever you're finished, let me know.
Okay, go ahead, Mrs. Steiner. You've got a right to finish. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It was a big deal, and the people of the United States and responsible media outlets forced the right outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
The thieves went to jail. They were punished.
Mm-hmm.
The people who knew about it but denied that they knew about it
Mm-hmm.
were lost their jobs, and the President of the United States had to resign. It's
You know
called
what? You're
Watergate.
right.
I'm not finished, sir.
No. But I'm going to have a comment when you're done, though, if you don't mind.
I would be surprised if you don't, because you're a
Okay,
bully.
thank you.
The residents of Lower Township deserve honest, responsible government.
Mm-hmm.
Stealing is wrong and must be punished. And for the chief official of the town to say the theft is being used for political purposes instead of saying what it is, stealing, it's a bad example for our children.
Okay.
Maybe you should follow President Nixon's example.
Mhm.
Now, the second issue is the police building. 2 points. At the last meeting, you said that almost everybody has their police with the municipal complex. Is that a good way to say it? Same
Something like
place? Okay. I called 10 towns at random. 3 were not located in the same complex. 7 were. With their municipal building, they were located. So I asked the same, oh, sure.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Mrs. Steiner.
Well, if he wants them, I will, but I'm talking to him.
Just finish what you're saying here, please.
So I asked the same question of the 7 people that were part of the municipal complex.
Right.
Are you centrally located for all of your town's residents? And all 7 said yes. That was the purpose of being together and central.
Okay.
Okay. And then let's see, asked the 3 that were not part of the municipal complex, because I know you said communication is important with the police.
Mm-hmm.
If it interfered with their communicating with the town officials not being, and they said, I was told in the era, and this is a quote, of not just telephones, but teleconferencing, emailing, and texting. Good communications are a given. Okay. Then you also, at the last meeting, stressed the importance of both actual safety and the perception of safety for residents, groups, and schools located near the police station as a strong reason to move them back. So if the police move back to the villas, that means 40.7% of Lower Township residents, and that's what the villas is, 40.7%, would benefit from both convenience and safety, while 59.3% would lose both. We already don't have convenience. Now you want to take away safety. This is another compelling reason to add to the list of reasons why Lower Township is not ready to make a good decision for all taxpaying residents about where to locate the police station. And since, I have a question, since you're not likely to get a municipal bond passed to do the police station, are you going to interfere and not let any other options be explored? Would you want to keep the police in an unsafe building so that you get your way? That's the end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and if you want the stations, I have them. Sure. Hold on a second.
And, you know, and I have to comment, you know why the president had to resign? Because his people tried to fix an election. Glenn, last one, Glenn, come on. We'll be here till the cows come home.
Just real quickly, Glenn Douglas, North Cape. I'd like to ask the lady who was just up here, can you identify the locations you contacted?
I was just going to, and he didn't want to.
Okay, because I don't, were they all?
Well, you can share them with Glenn.
Lumberton, New Jersey.
Okay, not Cape May
Laurel,
County.
New Jersey. Delaware, what?
None of these are Cape May. That was the comment that was brought,
No,
our
the
Cape May
comment was
County.
that most.
Okay, guys, if you want a private conversation, you're more than welcome outside in.
Very good, I just,
All right,
I just, none of them are in Cape May County.
no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Please.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.